now, John Stossel.
We now have divided government, and as a libertarian I say yes to that, because when governments split, when politicians can't agree with each other, they increase spending less, and they're less likely to mess with my life. So what else did the midterm results mean for freedom? Here to debate that is our liberty-loving panel, columnist Roy Murdoch, editor of Reason magazine, Catherine Mangu Ward, and Austin Petersen, who runs the Libertarian website, the Libertarian Republic website. So, Austin, your website this week featured this show's topic. What did you guys conclude?
So I did a little research, and I pulled some data from the Cato Institute, which took a look at divided government. And we may actually be going into the most libertarian next 2 years that we've seen in a long time, because the type of government with a Democratic president and Republicans controlling the legislature is actually where we get the smallest amount of government growth. That's 0.4% per capita, so per person. But versus one party, when they control everything, the government grows by about 3.4%, but when you've got divided government, it grows to 1.5. So we're actually preparing to have a major slowdown in government if past trends are like what the next 2 years will be like.
So they keep talking, the Republicans do, we want to work with Obama and find areas of agreement, and the public seems to want that. And we're going to interview one Libertarian candidate who lost later on this show, but why do they always lose? They did better this year, but
I think it's a consequence of the electoral system. You know, we have lots of rules and regulations for how you can get on the ballot. Libertarians, I used to work for the party, and you actually have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get on the ballot, whereas Republicans, Democrats don't have to jump over these hurdles. So we have, you know, we have this idea we're going to spread democracy overseas, but we don't really enjoy it much here at home. So I think we need to solve the problems of the democracy that we have here and allow more ballot access, and that would solve the problems of people who say they want third parties. Most Americans say they do. If they do, then we need to change these laws.
Some libertarians say a GOP majority is worse. Ron Paul tweeted, Republican control of the Senate means an expanded neocon wars in Syria and Iraq. Boots on the ground are coming. DeRoy, I know you're a libertarian who's okay with that, but most of us are not.
Well, I mean, look, we've already got all sorts of military action going on in Iraq and Syria with Harry Reid and the Democrats running the Senate today. So I don't see how having McConnell and the Republicans in would give Obama any more opportunity to be there than he already has today.
You know, frankly, Democrats like war too, so it's not clear that there'll be a change.
Hillary Clinton did for the Iraq war.
I'd like to disagree with Congressman Paul, the great Dr. Paul, who I sincerely respect, but I think he's wrong. And the reason why I think he's wrong is because he's not looking at our energy security. And in the next decade, the United States is poised to become the world's leading energy producer. The biggest problem that we have is...
So then we won't go... That's why we're overseas? We're grabbing oil?
I think that has a lot to do with what the American presence overseas, guarding pipelines and wanting to maintain private property rights of corporations overseas, that maybe they should take those burdens on themselves, but maybe they won't have to. If President Obama signs the Keystone XL pipeline, that would be a good thing. But also, because of fracking, because of natural gas, we are poised to become the world's leading energy producer. That's exciting. I think that's going to result in less wars.
Other news that seems exciting, exit polls this year, government should do more. 41%. Government is doing too much, 54%, which I was happy to see until I went back 20 years and saw it's about the same that people have said before. 20 years ago, they said that, and we got since then Obamacare, Dodd-Frank, stimulus, bailouts, cash for clunkers, and another $1 trillion in spendings. Other good news, ballot initiatives. Legal marijuana now, Alaska, Oregon, and Washington, D.C., and passed by big margins.
Yeah, the biggest deal with that is in Washington, D.C., where marijuana is federally illegal, but it's legal in the district. What's probably the coolest part of the story that nobody's really talking about is that the Congress has oversight over the District of Columbia, and they have a special oversight committee that is dedicated to taking care of municipal issues in the District of Columbia. Guess who sits on that committee? Senator Rand Paul, who is the most marijuana-friendly politician probably in the entire Congress. So that's
not a big pro-legalizer, I don't think.
Well, he said that he doesn't think the federal government should interfere with the District of Columbia legalizing it. So that
he's the tallest one.
What if we got what if we got the entire Congress high? What do you think that might do?
I don't think that will happen.
I think that then we would have a truly do-nothing Congress, and it would be delightful.
Are they not high already?
Final ballot initiatives, the GMO, genetically modified organism labeling provisions, they failed in Oregon and Colorado, but they were they were really outspent by the industry. I think, again, the ignorant public says, oh, yeah, this is scary stuff. I want it labeled on my food.
You know what's hilarious about all this is that the Democrats are always like, Republicans, they're not the party of science. They believe in creationism. And they're like, oh, ban GMOs. You know, even though we have all this great science behind it. You know, the white liberal nerds
get people to focus on the trivial risks, they don't pay attention to big risks.
That's right.
And you couldn't ban it because it's in everything.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. Thank you all. To join this discussion, please follow me on Twitter, FBN Stossel. Use the hashtag midterms2014, or please like my Facebook page so you can post on my wall. Tell us what you think. Panel, stay with us because I want your take on Ann Coulter's complaint that my voting for Libertarians who won't win helps Democrats elect more socialists. I often vote Libertarian and vote for people who don't win. There are people here at Fox who yell at me for that. They say Libertarian candidates just steal votes from Republicans who would be better than the socialist Democrats. So
that's why Coulter has always been wrong about this, because every time we look at these polls, you see that liberals are the ones who are voting for Libertarians. We don't quite know why. We do know that in Sean Hawes' case, when he was running, someone spent $225,000 trying to get the Democrats to vote for Sean Hawes. They didn't spend that money on the Republican. They wanted to spend it on the liberals. So something's going on here. I think it's actually a bipartisan issue. People are looking at Libertarians and saying, we've got the issues that liberals really care about, principled liberals care about, and principled Republicans: economic freedom and personal liberty. That's what I talk about.
We just heard from Senator Mike Lee about all the great things Republicans will do now. Do you believe him? Let's ask our liberty-loving panel, columnist Roy Murdoch, Catherine Mangu Ward, editor of Reason magazine, and Austin Petersen, who runs the Libertarian Republic news site. So, will Republicans do these things, he says?
Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. No, Senator Mike Lee has a fundamental misunderstanding of the Constitution if he thinks that he can ban online gambling and still call himself a federalist, someone who believes in states' rights. Because the bill that he was discussing, the Wire Act, which he teamed up with Senator Dianne Feinstein and Lindsey Graham on, would have banned online gambling all across the United States. So is this a limited government conservative or not?
Yeah, I was drowning in his legalisms, but I would think it's a personal freedom issue. If I want to, let me. What about, he didn't really talk about the drug war. He's for that, I'm told, or gay marriage. But.
I mean, this is a reminder for libertarians that even when you think, I mean, this guy's pretty good. Libertarians say about Senator Mike Lee, he's a kind of libertarian guy, and yet when you hear him, you know, when you hold his feet to the fire a little on these issues, suddenly he sounds just like a typical Republican. No, I'm against gay marriage, I'm against gambling, I'm against drugs. You know, it's business as usual.
But the Republican,
on a bipartisan basis, opposing a whole lot of Obamacare, and that again will chip away at this and erode support for it while we see prices going up and so on.
Well, I just want to say that Obamacare, my premiums went from $97 a month to $240 a month, and I lost my health insurance because of that, for a short term. But let's not forget civil liberties here. He held Senator Mike Lee to the fire on gay marriage. Let's remember our friends in the homosexual community. My Senator Mike Lee, he's a constitutional scholar. Maybe he should read the 14th Amendment, where we have the privileges and immunities. You know, if you and I can get married, Catherine, if you and I can get married, why is it that our homosexual friends can't do that? If the 14th Amendment says we're all equal, then why can't we enjoy that?
I hate to tell you, we can't get married.
Well, because you're married. But
even more fundamentally than that, I'd like to see Mike Lee or other people say, look, why is the government involved in marriage at all?
Agreed.
Why do you need a license? If you want to get married, go
and
get
I will
married.
say, Republicans...
Why is it the government's bloody business to begin with?
Republicans recently have actually said that sentence on the record recently, and that is a new development. Rand Paul has said, you know, all things being equal. Justin Amash, another libertarian-friendly guy.
Separation of marriage and state.
They want our tax revenue, though. They want to track us. They want to know how much we're making.
But the fact that a politician would even say that out loud is progress.
Yeah.
And other progress, I'm just hearing more people say, gee, maybe we're doing too much.